Oh, we just recorded 5.5 minutes and didn't realize that my mic was not on. That's weird. Awkward. Okay, it wasn't a great take anyway. Okay, UFC Freedom 250. Man, what an event. Before we get into the main event, which I want to talk about, because I have some thoughts on it, I want to talk about the build-up to this entire event. Because when these fights got announced, and myself included, I want to talk specifically about the co-main event and the main event. When these fights got announced, this was a letdown. This was the biggest flop. We're setting America up to lose on its birthday. You know, yada, yada, yada. We've got the co-main events, not even Americans. They're, you know, two guys that are heavyweights that neither of them are from America. And then the American fight we've got is the American is getting led to the slaughter. People said this. I remember just in an interview recently, Colby Covington said, Justin Gaethje is a lamb to the slaughter. And I will tell you, before the week of the fight, I believed that 100%. And when you look at their skill sets, side by side, on paper, Ilya's last 3 fights, I'll just rattle them off. He has finished Volkanovski. He has finished Max Holloway. He has finished Charles Oliveira. Gaethje has been finished by Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. This is not a close fight on paper. So this is what's happening, right? Setting the scene for you. You've got the political unrest on both sides of, you know, oh, this is irresponsible. You're using taxpayer dollars to pay for this and yada, 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 right? Like government only uses taxpayer dollars. I understand that. I've got friends in my own life that are like, I'm not watching this UFC. I can't support it because of whatever reason, which I respect their opinion. That's fine. That you are. I would 100% do the same if it was the other side. If now I don't get into a bunch of sports, and the sports that I do get into, you know, if there was a left-leaning situation in the NFL or something like that, yeah, I'd probably be like, hey, man, it's not that big of a deal. But it's because it's not a big deal to me. The sport is not a big deal. But for those of you that the MMA, the UFC specifically, is a big deal, this just didn't feel like a great event. It didn't feel like it was going to be something special. It didn't feel like America was going to win in this particular situation. It felt weird. You know, it didn't feel like, it felt like we should be putting our best foot forward on America's birthday. We should have John Jones out there fighting. We should have, who's a really good American fighter right now? I'm not sure. I mean, you can't have Sean Strickland fighting at the White House. But, that guy got kicked out. But, I don't know. You should have an American going against an underdog. And I'll just tell you, that's not the American story. That's not how we were founded. That doesn't represent the pride. That's what we know and experience now as Americans, right? We are the world superpower. But that's not our history. That's not our foundation. Our foundation is a bunch of farmers and pilgrims and people that came to this country with a hope and a dream and decided, hey, tyranny is no more. And they went against the world's foremost superpower and won. That's an underdog story. That is the essence of, whether intentional or not, this card represented, which is the American that is the underdog going against the European superpower that everybody says is the best of the best, has dominated everyone. Now, Justin Gaethje possesses a skill set that many of you that don't fight won't quite understand. He doesn't have the world's best boxing. He doesn't have the world's best grappling. He doesn't have the world's best wrestling. But Justin Gaethje has something that most fighters will understand as effectiveness. He's awkward. He's a brawler, 100%. But he's effective. When you watch him strike, you're not blown away. When you watch him wrestle, he doesn't really do it. When you watch him grapple, he's not he's not going to go win Abu Dhabi. But when you watch him fight, you don't really know what you're watching, but it's working. And that's what happened, right? Whatever he did worked. He went out there, underdog, lamb to the slaughter, and he found a way to win. Chael says this a lot, and I'm going to steal it from Chael, but the hardest fight is when you get in there and you're fighting more than the situation is harder than you expected it to be, right? And all this time we see all this hype about Ilya. Ilya is saying, hey man, his last fight was disgusting. Like I'm going to destroy this guy. Ilya is doing every interview saying, man, this is going to be easy. And he bought into the hype, not realizing that Justin maybe doesn't look the most crisp, but what he's doing is effective. It's working. He's beating the best guys in the world, doing something that doesn't necessarily look as polished. Now, when I watch Ilya Topuria, I say that is the evolution. That is where the sport is going. And people giving him crap and all this stuff, man, you weren't in there. You don't know. That guy is a warrior. And even though, I believe that he said, hey, I'm done on the stool, the guy gave it his all, man. There's no difference between that and somebody getting put into submission and saying, hey, I'm done. I'm done. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. It says, hey, I've taken so much pain and so much damage. I am done. That knee that Justin hit him with at the end of the 4th round, that would have put a horse down. 100%. So this whole event I don't even know if I'm going to talk about the co-main event because I've already talked about the main event. But this whole event is structured around this American that is put as a lamb to the slaughter and comes on top in front of the president. This will never happen again. Dana White even said, hey man, we're not doing this again. We're not doing the Sphere again. We're not doing the White House again. It costs too much money. I will just say that moments like these tend to not feel like they're going to pan out, and then they do. Now let's talk about the light heavyweight guys. If you guys want to tune out now, this might be the time to do it because it's going to go downhill from here. Light heavyweight, I felt something. And I will say this too, with the co-main and the main event, I called my brother and I called my cousin and I talked to my broker and I said, hey, I'm going to pick Gane because I saw a video of Alex and he was hitting the pads and he was overextending and he looked slow. And I'm like, man, this guy has thrived at being the biggest. He's thrived at he's not the fastest. He doesn't have the best wrestling, but he's bigger than everyone else. And he's not bigger than Gane. So I don't know what's going to happen. And I said, I told some people and I told my cousin, hey, if you're going to bet, I don't bet much, but if you're going to bet, go put your money on Gane and go put your money on Justin Gaethje. And he's like, what? I was like, I'm telling you, man. And I'll get to why I thought that about Justin here in a second. But I looked at that video and I said, Gane is bigger. So he's not going to be able to be slow with Gane. Gane is so athletic. And he does it, and Alex does not possess the wrestling ability to get him in a position where he can dominate on the ground. So I said, if this is a striking match, I think it's going to go to Gane. I think he's too athletic, he's too big. And sure enough, I exactly what I felt was going to happen happened. And Gane was able to pretty much piece him up. I mean, Alex had those 2 shots at the end of round 1, but then after that, it was like, he knocked him out with a jab. Which, a strong jab. Gane's jab is about as effective as most people's hook. He throws that, he extends, and it's wild. So then you get into the main event, and again, same conversation. I said, hey, I texted I called my brother, and I called my cousin, and I said, hey, man, I think you need to put some money on Gaethje. It's like 5-6 to 1 odds right now. And I just feel like there's a stars aligning moment. I even said it to my wife before the fight started. I said, I think the stars are going to align for Justin Gaethje. I can't point to anything skill-wise that would lead me to believe that. But Justin possesses something that most people don't, which is he is tough as an old leather boot. This guy will not go away. I promise you, Justin Gaethje, as tough as Ilya is, and I'm not giving him any knock whatsoever, Justin Gaethje would not quit on the stool. And that is abnormal. Most fighters probably do not possess that skill set. Justin is one of those guys that was born with that. And now there's years of wrestling that goes into that. There's years of being, growing up. I don't know what his situation was, but I don't think he had a ton of money growing up. Small town guy. He possesses a toughness that 9 out of 10 guys in the UFC do not have. And then he possesses a skill set that the other, that 9 out of 10 guys in the UFC do not have. So all that aside, I said, I think the stars are going to align. I think Justin Gaethje is going to come out on top. And then, even down the card, man, Bo Nickel, old buddy of mine that I've interacted with, I spent 2 weeks at his house, for goodness sakes, in 2019, gets out there and gets it done against Kyle Dawkins. Like, Bo should definitely be within the top 12, I think. And then Josh Hokett, who, for a short period of time, if you guys watch some of my old interviews, and I just reposted one if you guys want to go check it out. But Josh was a good buddy of mine for a little bit. He actually was in Vegas before he went out there. And man, I'm so blown away by what he has been able to do in such a short amount of time, man. Like, this is unbelievable. 3 years, his first fight was less than 3 years ago. And now they're talking about him fighting for a title. Like, there's legitimate talk about Josh Hokett, who had his first professional fight in Bellator, no amateur fights, 3 years ago. 28 years old, 25 years old was his first fight. That blows my mind. He did a really good job, I will say. He's watching that fight. He's watching all that stuff. He's a smaller guy. He legitimately is a 205 pounder. Like, he's not a huge guy, but he saw the landscape both physically, and then he saw the landscape both entertainingly, and he said, hey, how can I fill this gap? And being a goofball at heavyweight is how he filled that gap. And I'll just tell you, man, I'm so impressed, so proud of this guy, what he's been able to accomplish. I know Josh. Josh is a good guy. Josh is a really good guy. Josh is very kind. Josh has a good heart. And this character, although it is funny, don't take it too seriously. Don't take it too seriously. But it's crazy to think that he's in line for a title shot, and he made a really good play because he's like, hey, yeah, Gon's going to fight Aspinall. I'm not jumping in there. Like, he's done such a good job of playing seeing the chessboard of this division and saying, and making all the right moves. It's like, golly, I feel like he has like an AI system telling him exactly what to do. And it's so impressive to see because most guys will say, oh, I'm next for Gon. He watched the finish and he said, well, I guess I'm still going with Pereira. He hedged his bets. And Chael talks about this a lot too. I get a lot of inspiration from Chael. That's why I do some of the videos that I do. But Chael talks about this as like, hedge your bets. Call them out before the fight and then honor it. If you called the guy out that wins, you get to fight the guy that wins. If you call the guy out that loses, nobody ever does that. You get to fight the guy that loses and you still take a step up. Where most guys go wrong is they be in Josh's situation and be like, well, I'm going to fight Gon. And he's like, no. I'm still going to fight Pereira. I called him out. I said I'm going to chama on his mama. Impressive. He is playing chess, and most of these guys are playing checkers, and he's got the skill set to back it up. What he did to Derek Lewis was nasty. So, all in all, that's a 13, 14 minutes, right, recap of kind of what happened. Diego Lopez, obviously, he's got David Taylor in his corner. Sean O'Malley, I think I got popcorn for that fight, honestly. Like, there was just so many good fights that you couldn't watch them all. And I was trying to be emotionally invested in all of them. But, Sean does I'm not the biggest Sean fan, but, he knocks the guy out and does the salute. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. Faraz Sahabi's brother, oh my gosh, what's his last name? Or his first name? I can't remember. Yeah, just great night of fights. And it's one of those events that you can't plan it. You can't plan it. You can't put it on paper and say this is going to be good, because the fights that end up being this way, if you look back at some of the biggest cards ever, are the ones that everybody said, well, that's kind of disappointing. And then if you look back at some of the worst cards ever, you're like, oh, these are going to be the best fights. And they don't. They don't line up. It's almost like the UFC, after 25 years, knows what they're doing. I don't know. But all in all, Loved it. Thought it was a great card. Super happy that the American got the job done. Super happy for, especially for Josh and Bo. Those guys are awesome people, amazing fighters, love the Lord, even though Josh's character is a little goofy. I know his heart, and I know he's a Christian. And because I've had these conversations with him about faith and about what the Bible says, and I know who he is. And obviously Bo, I've been to church with Bo. He's a great guy, man. These guys are good dudes. So I loved seeing it. I love seeing American exceptionalism. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. All right, I hope you guys have a blessed day. I hope you guys enjoyed the fights. And if you didn't, tell me why.